Hello, and welcome to the future on Wave 879. With you today is Kat Kennison from the Catcast to talk to you about art, something that I'm very passionate about, and I think many of you are as well. And that's why you're listening to the Wave World Art Vibe Entertainment, where we specialize in art, and I'm excited to be here. My friend Eggman, I was going to say asked, but I begged him to let me do anything broadcast wise with him. And he has finally agreed to let me do a show here on the Wave 879. And I'm extremely grateful for that opportunity. And I would like to say hello to the audience here at the Wave and give you all a wave and say hello. It's nice to meet you. It's nice to be here. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about photography or drawing with light. That is part of art and is what I do. I am a commercial photographer. I do mainly RVs, recreational vehicles in this area, because that's what we have. We manufacture in the area that I live. I've been doing it for 25 years, and I've photographed many, many things. I mean, RVs is just my bread and butter that pays the bills, but I've photographed just about everything you can think of, all the way to windshield wipers, which is not the easiest thing to take pictures of, let me tell you. Taking pictures of some black sticks and making it look good was a little difficult, to say the least, but we got paid for the job, and that's what matters, right? Anyways, I'm glad to be here. I want to tell you a little bit about myself as well. I'm dipping into the podcasting field, doing some broadcasting, and I've been enjoying it. And so I really wanted to dip my feet into a more professional setting here at the Wave, and given that opportunity, I'm going to do the best I can. And I started doing photography in high school, and originally I was very into videography, motion picture capture, but at the Career Center they didn't really have a field for that. You'd have to just go into broadcasting, which wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do. But now I love broadcasting, so maybe I should have done that. But I went into the still side of photography, and I'm very grateful because it's quite fun to take pictures, as many of you, I'm sure, enjoy doing yourselves. And now with the cell phone, and you have your camera with you everywhere you go, it's a great thing that everybody can take pictures now whenever they want, and that's a really beautiful thing. So I'm going to just talk to you a little bit about what you can do with just your regular cell phone when you're taking a picture to improve on the image. One thing I want to tell you is stop using your front-facing camera from the screen-facing camera, unless it can zoom, because that wide-angle lens distorts the heck out of your face. Anything close to it is going to look bigger. If your hand's close, your hand's going to look big. If you have a big nose, it's just going to look even bigger. So I always tell people, do not use front-facing camera. Turn it around, use the good camera, put it on a little zoom. You don't need to, I'm not a big fan of selfies. They're kind of taking away my career. But it's not a big deal to ask somebody to take your picture. But it is a big deal if you're going to take 50 of them to get the best one, So then you do want to do it yourself. But I'm just recommending things. You guys can take it or leave it, whether you care or not. That's just something I always tell people. You also want to look at the background of the image. And if you're taking pictures of people and there's a telephone pole back there or a light pole or something, maybe just have them move a little bit, or you move a little bit, so that it's clear behind their head to clean the background up. Sometimes people will shoot very wide and they don't need to, but instead of getting in closer, how about just zoom the lens, the camera a little bit? That way, again, you're not going to have the wide angle stretch A lot of people shoot wide, and wide angle stretches your image. So unless you're in tight quarters, I'd recommend not zooming unless it's low light, and then any shake, you're going to see the vibration. Then you may not want to. But again, these are just pointers I'm giving to try to help people. They're not hard and fast rules, but they're just things that I notice. Another thing I tell people about is hand placement. You don't like to see the front of your hand. You like to see the side of your hand or along the fingers, but not straight on, because it's a big blob then. So you want to curve your hand, turn your hand, whatever you can do. Sometimes you put some of it in your pocket, whatever. Hand placement is very critical, and can ruin a picture. A professional one, anyways. I love photography. It is definitely my passion, and I don't want to do anything else. I mean, I like broadcasting too, though, that's for sure. But I love taking images. I love analyzing them. I love design. I love. My eyes are pretty good now at looking at things. On the scrolling through Facebook, you ever have those things where it shows you a bunch of numbers or letters, and you gotta find that one letter that stands out? I can do that really fast. So I know I got pretty good eyes at that, but that just comes from analyzing pictures over and over, looking for things that maybe we had to correct or was a mistake, or you just get really good at analyzing. You get really good at seeing color. You're like, ooh, this has a lot of green in it, or this has a lot of magenta, things like that. You just start seeing those things. I went into photography because I liked art, but I was not good at drawing. I was not very good. I could draw straight lines. If I had another line to go by on notebook paper, I could tell if a line was straight. And I thought that's pretty good, because for camera placement, I use that to tell if my camera is square with my subject. But that's how I got into photography. I wasn't good at drawing, but I wanted to do art, and I thought, photography, drawing with light. I can do that. I can use a camera, And a lot of people, it's just point and click photography now. They're just available light, I still use lights and try to make things look really good. It's just the way I am. I'll do available light in a pinch, but if I'm doing anything professional, I like to do it with lights because it looks better. And so it's I don't want to get lazy with my craft, because some people can get lazy with their stuff. I'm trying to keep a quality about my photography that a lot of people have let go by the wayside, because in order to get a job, you got to be cheap, because that's all they're looking at now. How cheap are you? Well, if you're looking for the cheapest guy, you don't want me, because I'm the guy you come, so you only have to have this done one time. The cheap guy, you may have to have it done 2 or 3 times, and you'll pay more than what you pay me to have it done once. Or you just won't care, or you don't notice the difference, and then it won't even make a matter to you. So you've got those things to think about. My boss used to say, when somebody would ask him, well, how long did it take you to do that? And he'd say, well, about 4 hours and 20 years. Meaning, about 4 hours in time, but 20 years of experience to know what he's doing. My favorite artist is Leonardo da Vinci. I love his paintings. I love the history of them, how he had all the inventions, ideas way ahead of their times. And he has a famous quote, and it's my favorite quote by an artist. Art is never finished. It's only abandoned. Meaning, you could work on something forever if you wanted to. You could always keep perfecting it. But at some point, you have to stop working on it. And you have to abandon it to the world. And I love that quote. I was reading about art just the other day, getting ready to talk about art with you today. And I had my notebook from when I was in junior high from art class, and I'm reading it. And it said that art is almost always visual. And I'm like, no, it's not. There is art that is spoken. There are poems. Music is art. Food is art that you eat. The taste is art. Jokes, humor is also art. To say that it was only something you could see, I thought that was very, not very fair to people that might be blind. Oh, you can't see art. Yeah, you can. You can hear it. You can also feel art. Sculptures. You can feel that. You don't have to just see it. You can touch it. You know? Art is everything that represents humanity. Because you don't really see any animals doing art. Not really. But we like to do it. And, you'll have people that go into math. They're real good at math, but they can't do art. You'll have people that are good at art, they can't do math. It's different sides of your brain are used for different things. Also, art is very subjective. It's not objective, it's subjective, meaning one person's art to another person is not. And so to classify art also is a very dangerous road to go down, because you don't want to say, well, that's art. Like, how can you say? Why is your opinion more important than somebody else's when it comes to this art? Anybody can have, graffiti can be art. I've seen some beautiful graffiti on some rail cars, murals, art. I love talking about this. I hope I'm entertaining you guys here on the Wave 879. I'm really trying to do a nice job here on this radio station that is no politics, no negativity, no racism, and no fake news, which Kat appreciates all those things. We don't want any of that going on because we want to keep people happy. Politics is too divisive, messing people, getting upset, being negative. I'm all about positivity. The glass is always half full with Kat. I'm like, placebo works, people. The placebo effect works, and you have to believe in things or you will be not happy. No racism, of course. I'm a big believer in Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Judge not a person by their skin tone, but by the content of their character. I believe that 100%. And we don't need any more fake news. There's enough of that garbage going around, So we're not going to even tiptoe on that. We're just talking art, That's all we're doing today. It's fascinating to talk about. I even think about Socrates. Socrates was art, the way he would philosophize. That's art to Kat. The only knowledge is knowing that we know nothing. That's art, man. Romeo and Juliet, William Shakespeare. That's art. Did you bite your thumb at me? I bit my thumb, but I did not bite my thumb at you. Oh, do a better quote than that, Kat. To be or not to be, that is the question. That's art. I'm sorry. Spoken word is art. And I love it. I love everything about art. I don't always understand it. When I'll go to the local museum and they have the local show that you can get into as an artist, one time I got a piece in, and you can enter two pieces, and I was picking up the piece that didn't get in, and there's another artist there that I didn't know, but my mom knew him, and I ended up getting to know the guy later. But he had two pieces, one of George Burns, the actor, and one of George Bush. They were paintings. The George Burns one was a little bit more detailed type, more realistic, and the George Bush one was more George W. Bush was more hard to, it was a spackling kind of thing where you had to look at it. It wasn't as detailed, it was more rough. I thought they were both great pieces, and neither of them got in. He was picking both his pieces up. I was like, neither of those got in? And he said, no. I was like, wow. Then I had another friend of mine that entered some 3D pieces where they weren't technically 3D, but when you looked at them, they looked 3D. He had one that was like playing cards and dice and stuff, and I forget what the other one was. There were two different colors. There's like a red one and a blue one or something. Neither of them got in, but it's all up to the judges that they have and whether a judge likes that particular piece of work or not. There is no rhyme or reason to it. If you get a particular judge that's into a caricature, then that's what they're going to be looking for. So if you're doing not caricatures, you're doing landscapes or something else, you're probably not going to, get in, because their field of what they interpret is narrow. I always think that they need to have a variety of artists look at it, and they do that, but the problem is they have one judge for each type of art, sculpture, photography, painting. So they need to have the judges all look at all the pieces and make votes on whether it should get in or not. And if two of the judges out of the three say it gets in, it should get in. I don't know how they do it. I think it's just that the one judge makes the decision on that type of art. But I wish it was a collaborated effect, because you'd have more chance of getting in that way when you have a group of people that aren't pigeonholed in the type of art they like. Even if you think you're not biased, you'll find that you have an unconscious bias in art. Just things that you like. I can give you an example. When I prop a unit, an RV, I would go to certain props all the time that I liked more than other props. And it was just an unconscious thing, but I liked those particular props that I was going to put in there. And I knew they would work universally. And since I wasn't the best stylist, that's why I went simple. But that's not always the best. Variety generally is better. It makes your images look a lot different. But sometimes that's just not the case. Now, when I started working at the studio that I worked at for over 20 years, I didn't know a lot about Rembrandt and how when you would style things, you would make sure things weren't stacked on top of each other. You'd look from the camera and put things here and here, and then you'd have little squirts of light here and here to accent things. You want to show this off or show that off. You didn't want the whole image to be the exact same exposure. You want to draw your eye to certain parts of a picture. And it was important that, like, say you're doing a landscape, you never want to have the sun in the center. Put it off to the side. Rule of thirds. Same thing with a dock. If you're shooting a water scene, you got a dock. Don't put that dock in the middle. You put it off to the side. If you put it in the middle, you're going to get a bad grade in art class. Because you just don't want to do that. It's just, it's amateur stuff. Amateur hour. You used to not be able to do lens flare. And that's where you actually had the light coming into the lens, where you could see the light source from the lens position, and you get flare off the lens. You'll get little bubbles or light circles and stuff coming at you. But now that is acceptable if you're doing it on purpose. Hey, you make it look cool. And of course in Photoshop, you can just artificially make lens flares wherever you want. and you can pick the particular lens. Is it a 50 millimeter prime? Is it a zoom? You know, what is it? You can pick that stuff, and you can control where the flare goes. So if you're ever going to do it nowadays, why not just do it in the computer? That way you can control the flare. Well, that's not real art. Real art has to be natural. You can't adjust it. Everything you do with art is adjusted. You know. Did you guys know that the painter Bob Ross from PBS, he used paint thinner? That's how he could paint those really fast like that, with paint thinner. Okay? Now, is that technically art? I don't know. You can talk about that stuff all the time. I'm like, it's a tool now. Photoshop is a tool, just like a paintbrush is a tool, just like the camera was a tool. Some people are like, oh, you can't use digital now. That's not real art. You have to use film. Well, there's no places developing film anymore, for one. It's really hard to get it developed. And what are you going to do? Just live in? That's like people that say, I'm just going to ride horse and buggies for the rest of my life. I'm not going to get a car. You know, that's not real travel. I'm on a horse and buggy. I mean, there are Amish people that do that, but do you really want to sit back and let, you know, that? I'm like, art doesn't just stay placid. It moves forward. Art keeps evolving with the centuries, and it's never going to be the same. It always evolves. That's the way the world is. Things evolve. They get better. That's what we're about. Making those things happen. That's what human ingenuity is. Human ingenuity is art. Think about the upside down ketchup bottle. How long did it take them to come up with that? Why did they have luggage without wheels? You know, now all the luggage has wheels. Makes sense, right? Some things it takes them a little bit to figure it out. But then we always make things better. And that's art to me. The way we inventions are art. You know, the phone that Steve Jobs helped create is art. It has changed our lifestyle, our whole way of life, because of this technology that they developed. Not just Steve Jobs, but his whole team worked on that. Who would have thought? I never thought I'd be walking around with a thing like that in my pocket. And back when I was a kid, I'm sure they all told you, oh, you may not have a calculator everywhere you go. Even though my dad had a Casio calculator on his wristwatch. I'm like, what do you mean? My dad's already got one. But now we have computers in our pockets, you know. More technology in our phone than is in the space shuttle, you know, not the space shuttle, the one that they use to go to the moon. Might not be as much as the space shuttle's probably still got more tech. Maybe not now. Space shuttle's kind of outdated. We don't even use it anymore. I love talking about this. This is I'm kind of on a tangent. I do this though on my CatCast, just warning you. I kind of go off into tangents sometimes, but it's all related usually to the topic at hand. And I know sometimes I'm kind of a fast talker. I apologize about that. I don't like to take breaks. I just want to speed through things. And I need to remember to slow down, don't talk so fast, keep calm, all those things. But I'm excited, you know. I get excited very easily. I'm a little eccentric as an artist. Artists generally are a little eccentric, and you know, but that helps the creative process. You will find to have an eccentric person that you know is a little bit off base, but not crazy. I'm not crazy, just a little bit off base, you know. I hope you've been enjoying what we've been talking about. I can do this more. I can talk about art. I could even do a segment where people could call in and talk art. I would just love that. I was going to be a sports photographer originally. I liked doing sports, but I ended up going into commercial because there's just more money in it, and it's a little bit more like a sports photographer is you're just clicking buttons, you know. I mean, there is the art in getting the composition, but it's available light, and I do like being able to light things. I mean, that is my job, drawing with light. And if I'm just using available light, then I'm not really doing the drawing, am I? I'm just letting either God, it's an outside shot. I don't have a problem with God lighting it. But I do like to add lighting to, if I'm shooting something outside besides a landscape, I like to add lighting to it, for sure. But if you're shooting stuff in a stadium, you're basically just shooting artificial light that they just blast the whole place with a bunch of flooded light, and you just click, 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 And you used to have to be pretty good at what you did because you had film that you were shooting. You didn't want to waste it. And now, though, with digital, that you don't have to have any talent. That you can just hold that button down and just click, click, click. Now, who wants to go through all those images later? That's the other thing you have to think about. You can shoot a ton of images. What's the point, though? You have to go through them later. You're just going to trash them all, And what if they're all garbage? Like, you can hire somebody to do a wedding, and they can shoot a ton of images, but if they don't do right posing or the right composition, they'll just all be trash. My friend one time bought a bunch of disposables back before digital. It was like 2003 for his wedding, and he had me doing his wedding as well. But he put those disposables on all the tables for people to use, and he said it was just a waste of money. People got back so far, the pictures were just so grainy. He said they just threw them away, most of them. I ended up using one of them, but I actually got in close and was filling the frames and doing all that. And he said mine was the only one that was worth keeping. I was like, well, you had it on the table, so I was like, I'll use it. Even though I'm like, this is a cheap camera, there's no lens or anything to it. But, it was outside wedding, so, as long as you fill the frame, you should still have okay pictures because it's pretty light, pretty bright out. So, how we doing on time here? We're just about up on our 30. I promised Egg I'd do 2 30-minute segments, and I wanted to have it separate, so if it's too long or they want to break it up, they can do that. But I'm just, again, I want to thank you guys, the audience, for letting me come and talk to you about art. I really appreciate you listening to me, and I want to thank Wave 879 also for allowing me. This is the future. You're tuning into the future right here. You need to catch this Wave 879. It's a 24/7 broadcast all the time. You can always catch what's going on, and it's entertainment, World Art Vibe entertainment. So I'm very, very glad to do this, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I want to come back and continue to talk art. Or anything else that you guys may want to talk about. I love talking about a lot of things, actually. So if you want to check me out, you can always check me out on YouTube at Cat Kennison. It's C-A-T and then Kennison, K-I-N-I-S-O-N, no spaces. And my show is called The Cat Cast. The Cat Cast, because I go by Cat. Now, why do I go by Cat? Because I like cats. I have a few cats of my own, and I'm big time into cats, so that is my name, Cat. It's a quite unique handle, I will say. So nobody else has a name like it, I'll tell you. Nobody. Somebody named you Cat? No. I named myself Cat. It's my own name. Made it up. I also made up a word called Chaba-Cha. Chaba-Cha means God bless you. I say it all the time. Or it means yada, yada, yada. Chaba-Cha, So it's a made-up word, but it's my word. Just wanted to tell you about that, too, because I may say it sometimes. You're like, what's Chaba-Cha? It's God bless you or yada, yada, yada. Just I don't know. It's just doing whatever. All right? So I guess that's about it. Thanks again for listening to me. Wave 879, the future of radio, right here, people. No politics, no negativity, no racism, and no fake news. We are the leader in Wave World Art Vibe Entertainment, people. Thanks again for being part of it with me. We will catch you on the flip side or the next time, whenever. Bye now. All right, welcome into the Wave 879. You're tuning into the future of radio right here, and I am your host, Kat Kennison from the CatCast, coming in today to talk with you about art on the World Art Vibe Entertainment program here. I am a photographer by trade. If you heard my first segment, then you know a little bit about me already. A commercial photographer, and I love art. I'm very passionate about it. I have tons of things to talk about with art, and it is just a fascinating topic. All types of art, whether it is visual or auditorial or touch or taste. I love all types of art, and I won't confine myself to one, and my taste will change too as I go along. I like to look at things very intently, and sometimes I'll see something and I don't like it at first, and then later I look at it again and I'm like, ooh, I didn't notice that. I like that. Now I like it. Things like that. Unusual but different, you know. This way I like to look at things. Anyways, I'm glad to be here today. Hope you're happy to having a good day, and glad to have you here on the radio to talk art with the cat here. We were talking about photography quite a bit on my last segment, and I thought I would talk a little bit about painting on this segment. Well, we did talk painting last time too as well. I used to love Bob Ross's show though, but I was never able to do quite the same thing that Bob Ross could do. Whenever I was doing my tree, and we'll put a little tree right here, a nice little tree, I'd be like, my tree doesn't look like a tree. It looks like I don't know, like a mess. And he's like, I'll put a little cloud up here. Let's put a little white cloud here. Poof, 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 poof. Put another one over here. And I try to put a little cloud up there, and it looks like just a big circle. And, oh, it's not a cloud. It looks like a moon now. And then my mountains would always look like triangles, and his looked nice and jagged. I'm like, I'm watching it. I'm trying to do what he's doing, but I could not do it. I know a lot of the frustration you guys probably felt as well. But I did love to watch the show and not do the paintings. That's what I ended up doing later. Just watched it, didn't try to paint it, and then I was like very entertained in it. Because he made it look very simple, but it's not a simple thing to be an artist. It really isn't. And I have a friend that's an artist. He likes German. Dang, I'm not going to get the name of it right. Conceptualism. Anyways, it's very strange type of art. I wouldn't call it quite Picasso style, but it's a lot of stuff going on in a picture at once, and you can have all kinds of interpretations of what's going on in that picture. But the interesting I've found is that me and my friend, or I should say my friend William and I, the things I've found is we'll be in sync on something. I'll be like, that looks like a goblin. And he'll be like, it is a goblin. Like, oh. And then I'm like, yeah, that looks like a window. It is a window. And there are times too, what I do with him sometimes is I'll take a picture of his artwork that he's done, and then we take it into the computer now that we have a digital copy of it, and we'll Photoshop and manipulate it into something so he doesn't have to mess up or change his original piece, but he wants to modify and print a piece. And I've done quite a few with him now. We would just go around, we copy the picture, bring it over to the computer, and then he sits here and tells me what he wants to do, and we do it. And it's quite fun. And he looks at it though. He's like, I don't know. Am I doing something wrong? I'm like, it's your artwork. You can do whatever you want to it. Now when you print it, you're not selling it like it's an original, like it's an only one. I mean, because you can make multiple copies. It's not like you're painting artwork, which is basically one and done. But he's not really selling anything anymore. He's retired, so it's more of just. I think he just loves doing art. He's retired and he just wants to do something. The problem is His house is covered with all his pieces, and most of his pieces are like 4 by 4 feet. They're enormous pieces. Anyways, I don't think his wife really likes me doing this stuff because then he's got more pieces. There's no place to put anything, and he's so funny. He talks about, I think I should be able to decide what goes on the walls. Right? That's the man's thing. I'm like, no. Every dude I know, the wife always picks what goes on the walls. She picks the pictures. She picks everything that goes up on the walls. Most dudes don't care. Oh, really? Yeah, I'm like, you're the only one because you're an artist. You care. But most dudes, they don't care. They just let the lady do whatever. She puts up with so much because I'm like, what's he going to do with all this art? He doesn't want to sell any of it. I'm thinking to myself, when you die, your son is going to have to deal with all this art. You could get some money for it now. I don't want to sell it. What are you going to do with it? You can't take it with you to heaven. I mean, don't you want somebody else to appreciate your artwork? See, that's the thing that I don't get to. I want people to appreciate my artwork. I would not want to hoard it. I'd be like, yes, enjoy this. I did a piece for one of my friends, and my friend passed away, and it made me sad. But I knew the family, and I said, you guys are going to keep the waterfall picture, aren't you? And they said, oh yes, we will. I was like, good, because I wanted them to continue to enjoy that. He bought it from me, and I'm like, I want that to at least be continued in your family for as long as you guys can keep it, And they said they would. So to me, that means something. Art is it brings people together. Art is something that I used to love. If I was going to go on a date, we could go to the gallery because you can just walk around and look at the art and just talk about it. Do you like this one? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? That kind of stuff. And you don't get upset about talking about art because, like I said, it's subjective. It's not objective. Just because you like it or don't like it has no effect on somebody else liking it or disliking it. Like I've seen lots of art that I don't get, but other people are like, oh, did you see that? Hey, it's amazing. I'm like, oh, I don't get it exactly. I like this one over there. And then they're like, that one? Oh, I didn't like that one. So that's it. Nobody gets upset. It's great. You say it's just not my taste. Kind of like music, There's genres of music, and you like a certain genre. There are genres of art, styles of art. Some people will like a certain art style. Excuse me. Some people will not. And it's fun though. I love going to galleries, and there aren't as many anymore. The local one we have has a Norman Rockwell collection. If you like Norman Rockwell, but I myself like to go when they have the local artists, or they even have a local children one where all the kids get to enter stuff. I went to that one time. That was really cool. I really appreciated that. They did things like Dollaramas. I think that's where you would do the shoebox and you have like a scene inside the shoebox. They did things with toothpicks where you glue the toothpicks together to make structures. All kinds of unusual things that you would do as kids, but when you become an adult artist, they don't usually do anymore, which is kind of sad because I think that kind of art could also be popular. Who wouldn't like to have a Dollarama of a scene, of a situation you hang it on your wall and it's like glassed in, but you can look at it? It'd be kind of cool, I think, as a piece of art. I like too now how a lot of people that are into cats, as you know, I'm into cats, will put these boards up on their wall to allow their cat to get up to a window or something, but they make it look decorative like it's art. It's all symmetrical and spaced out nicely. And if the cat's not there, sometimes you would just think that they're shelves, and you're like, well, where are your vases and stuff? And then you're like, no, those are steps for the cats. Oh. Oh, they look so natural. Yeah, like if we left and a person moved in here without a cat, they could just put the vase on it and whatever they wanted to put. They could have little things on it, climbing up the wall. That's art. Art is, it's so many things. I love talking about it. Can you tell? I'm fascinated with art. It is my passion, and It was when they had that Louvre break-in. I was devastated, but I was so glad that it was just jewelry, which that to me is not the most best art. I mean, it's probably worth the most, but to me, I'm like, I didn't want them to get any of the paintings or anything. But I thought that was just awful. Nobody should steal art. Art is meant to be seen by the masses. Anybody trying to take advantage of art is wrong. You don't do that stuff. The stuff, these things, because we've saved them and they're at the Louvre, is the only reason people can see them now, hundreds of years later. I don't really like private collections. I understand rich people and stuff, but it's like you're kind of hiding it away from everybody. I'd be okay with a private collection if you made it into a museum that everybody could see. Like, hey, come check out my collection. You can pay to come in and see it. I'd be okay with that then. But I don't like how people hide them away and they don't share them with people. It's like, well, what's the point of having it then? This art needs to be shared with the world. Now, I'm not saying that if you own your art, that's fine. I hate people that want to keep it from everybody. Art is for everybody. It should not be locked away and hoarded. I'm all for, if you want some art that you're gonna hoard, pay an artist, commission a piece, and have your art. That way. I think that'd be better. But I don't know, what else can we talk about with art? How are we doing on our time? We're only about 11 minutes in on this one, but that's okay. I've got stuff to talk about. Just want to make sure I don't go over. I'm gonna take a sip real quick of my root beer. It's such a great topic for Kat. I've when I was young, I was in math and I couldn't do well at math, and my tutor was like, "You only have to get past this class. You'll never use this again." I was like, "Well, why are they teaching it to me?" She's like, "Well, some people will. Some people will need it." I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm not getting it. I know this is just how they do it." But I'm so glad that I found something that I was good at. And I remember telling my mom that I wanted to do photography. And she's like, "Well, you don't know anything about it." I was like, "Well, I can learn, can I?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah, I guess." I said, "I know how to press a button. I know how to put the film in the camera. I know how to try to get people in a good position, you know." So yeah, it turned out to be excellent. I'm so glad at the field I chose. I got in at a good time too, because I had a mix of film and then also some background of digital, because I was graduating right around 2000. Digital was just starting to come out. So it was, I had enough film back knowledge, and was able to just take that into the new media of digital, because that's all it was a new way to record the image. The camera technology, the lenses, everything else was very similar. It was just the fact that now you're going to record it on a chip instead of on film. But it also gave you the ability to do all kinds of things you could never do before in Photoshop. It also saved companies a lot of money. They used to have to do separations and stuff with your film. You had to separate it, and you had to do other printing processes that cost money that the print shop doesn't do anymore because they don't have to. Also, the person that used to make money on developing the film, that's a gone business because there's no film development anymore. But I remember when I got my first memory card, and I thought, I'll never have to buy another piece of film again. And I was right, except you do have to buy new memory cards because the technology changes. They get better, they get faster, you get more storage on them. So you do have to buy new memory eventually. But it's nothing like I used to have to spend in film. And so, You're listening to The Wave 879, and we're talking about art here. This is the future of radio. You're catching The Wave on 879. It's a 24/7 broadcast here. We don't do politics, we don't do negativity, we don't do racism, and we do not do fake news. We are the World Art Vibe Entertainment capital right here, people. Chaba Cha, we're glad to have you here. Chaba Cha is my made-up word. You'll get to know it if I remember back here again to do more shows. You'll start saying Chaba Cha probably. But don't worry, it just means God bless you or yada, yada, yada. It's nothing bad. So I think about puzzles. And even puzzles can be art, you know. Puzzles are like art that you assemble, you know. Games sometimes are art. One of my friends was doing drawing by line drawing by dot to dot. That's art. That's art. And I had to explain to her. I said, some of those lines you weren't supposed to connect. And then she said, oh, that must have been the white dot. So the black dots, you connect the line. The white dot, you don't. And after she started doing that, then you could really make out the what the pictures were. I mean, you could make them up before, but you just saw lines that didn't make sense. That was art, though. I just kind of at a blank now for some reason. Have you been enjoying the cat? Has this been good for people? I don't know. I've enjoyed talking about art. Food is another type of art. Now, you can have presentation food where it's really cool to look at, or you can have the food where it's more about the taste, or they'll judge you on both things, presentation and taste. So the presentation, of course, is just looks, which is okay, I guess. I think both things should be taken into account myself, but it's an interesting thing with food, because if you ever see the TV shows with the where they're testing out the cooks, it's all rush, and I don't really like that. Is that what it is to be a cook? You just have to be fast, because we don't tell our surgeons to be fast. You don't want your doctor being all quick with you. You don't want the guy doing the space shuttle rocket to be to do it real fast. So why do you want the cook to be just throwing your food together super fast? I don't like that. I don't know if that's just to make the show entertaining, but I don't like it. Art, you can't usually do fast. There's a process to get quality, and if you rush it, a lot of times you don't get it. For one thing, if we go back to the quote that I was talking about with Leonardo da Vinci, if art is never finished, it's only abandoned, then that means you work on it for a while, and you come back to it and look at it. You don't just like whip it out and it's done. Many times you'll work on something, you'll go work on something else, you'll come back and work on that piece again. After you had a little time to get away from it, come back, take a fresh look at it. Happens all the time. Not so much with my pieces, because usually with photography, I have deadlines and I have to get those jobs out because they have production that they need to get done. But when you don't have necessarily a finished product date, you can take your time and maybe over time modify your art more to where you actually want it to be. But at some point you have to stop. At some point you have to be, okay, we're good. Even with my friend William that would come over here after we capture his art and work on it, at some point he has to finally say, all right, it's good, it's a wrap, let's do it, you know, because you can look at something and you could make changes forever if you wanted to. Sometimes the more you mess with an image, though, you'll start not liking where it's going, and then you'll want to go back, but you can't sometimes. I mean, with digital you can, because you can just go back to an earlier version if you just keep saving different versions. But as an artist that uses paint, You generally can't go back. You'd have to just paint it back from where you came from, you know. Um, I love some of the things about Leonardo da Vinci's paintings where they said that he actually painted one with a non-lead based paint, and when they looked at it with X-ray, the angel disappeared. And they made a big deal about, well, how did he know that that would even be a thing? Well, how do you know that he knew that was going to be a thing? He just didn't want it. He just used a different paint, maybe. I don't know that he knew that was going to be a thing. Maybe it just became a thing. But it's an interesting thing to talk about. They also take some of his images and they'll cut them in half, and they'll like split them and try to put it together. And they're like, "What does that look like? Does that look like an alien?" And I'm like, if you split any image and do some kind of weird stuff to it, you can make it do weird things. But the one that interested me the most was the one where they took the Last Supper that he did, and they said that the hands and the bread were notes on a scale, and they could play that song as a note, and it actually would repeat and be a song that just repeats because of the way the last note is in the first note. And that was intriguing to me, for sure, because I'm like, that's an interesting concept. Now, again, this could just be stuff that people have conjectured now. No way to prove any of it, but it is fascinating to think about that kind of thing. It's really intriguing to me to think about that stuff. And again, that's another reason why I like Leonardo da Vinci so much. There was a time in his life where he went into a cave, and apparently something affected him in that cave, and he was different after that. And there's a part during that time. It's also there's no record of what was going on with him, but something, maybe he had some kind of experience in that cave that changed Leonardo to be the person that he was. I don't know. I do know that he was born of a lady that he did not have a father. That's why he got the name Da Vinci from the town. But the fact that he didn't grow up in a regular life with a father allowed him to explore art more than he probably would have been able to in a traditional sense that most people would have to do, because he was not caught up in the regular hoorah of whatever his father would want him to do. He could do what he wanted to do, because you know how it is. A lot of times your parents would want you to follow in their footsteps, maybe, or do this or do that. You know how it is, especially back then, where he didn't have that constraint on him. That allowed him to explore things with his mind, to really create the creativity that I think he had. Now, I'm sure he had some of that in his brain as well, just like if you think about Albert Einstein, some of that is genetic in your brain. But I think some of it also evolved from his experiences in his life. I don't know why I'm yawning so much. I really apologize. But we almost are up on our time here. I guess it's because I was so hyped up about this and I've been so energetic that now all of a sudden I'm getting tired. You know, it is almost dinner time too. It's about time to get some dinner. So it's probably getting time. I think I'm gonna get some Little Caesars or something. Little Caesar sounds good. Thin crust pepperoni, maybe. Or maybe pizza. I don't know. I feel like pizza, though. Pizza is art. Did you know how they came up with the video game Pac-Man? They were sitting around. Somebody took out a slice of pizza, and then the guy noticed that it looked kind of like a mouth. That's how they came up with Pac-Man. That's art. Video games are art. Playing a game is so much fun, and designing a game is definitely art. I mean, so many things. It just blows your mind when you think about all the different things that constitute art. Man, I apologize. Kat, are you boring yourself? Are you boring yourself with your own art talk? No. I love this talk. I love it. It's fascinating. It it definitely richens me, and I hope you guys have been enjoying what I've been saying. I mean, I can really talk the mic off, can't I? I can pontificate away about things all day long. Now, sometimes I get little rough spots, and I'll be like, what should I talk about now? But a lot of times I can tangent into something without too much effort. I'm thinking about sports, too. Sports is an art, when you think about it. And it's an art that people like to watch. You go to watch the sport, and they're artists. The quarterbacks, the running backs, the baseball players hitting those balls, the pitchers. I mean, they call it painting, don't they? You're painting the plate. I mean, that's an art. Tell you, everything you can think about is an art when you think about it. Jobs are an art, When somebody comes and fixes something of yours that breaks, man, even a painter that paints a house, that's an art, That's art right there. A regular painter, a lot of times an artist painter cannot paint their house. Like my friend, he could not paint his own house. He had to have painters do it. Even though he's a painter, he can not do that kind of painting. So that in itself is also an art. It's I just love philosophizing. Philosophy is beautiful to Kat, and that is art in itself. Just talking about art is art. Kat, you say art a lot. Oh, has anybody been counting how many times I said it? Are you talking about a guy named Art? No. We're talking about the subject art. A-R-T, buddy. I'm not that funny. I try to be, but really I'm just a blabber, I can be funny, but not when we're talking about art, because it's my passion. I don't joke around about art. I'm totally serious. When it comes to art, serious Cat. That's where he's at. Well, what can I say? I have really enjoyed this. I want to thank Eggman again for giving me the opportunity to do this. I want to thank Wave 879. I want to thank you, the audience, for listening and allowing Kat to be part of your day today. And I hope you will continue to catch the wave here, 879, as it is a great place to be. 24/7 broadcast streaming here. No politics, no negativity, no racism, and no fake news. Why wouldn't you want to be here, right? This is the place to be. Kat already feels like it, and he's only been here 2 times now. This is my second time. So, yep, I'm very, very happy, and I hope you guys will welcome me into the family, and I can be here more often and share things about art or other topics. I can talk about a lot of things. Let me tell you, I got a motor mouth, and I love to run it. Yep. Bub. I can move this mouth up and down pretty fast when I need to. Yes, I do. Sometimes so much that I get the dry mouth, and then it starts to get crackly, and then I have to take a drink, But it's okay. That's what I do. That's what we have to do. Art must be done. We must talk about it, and we must do it. We must preserve art. It must last forever. We must never give up on art. Ooh, fashion. We didn't even discuss fashion art. Clothing, art. Designing clothing, that's art. Fashion, oh yeah, that is the best art. It's beautiful. Yep. Well, we're just about out of time, and I really appreciate. You sound like a broken record, Cat, with you really appreciating it all the time. Can you stop it? I apologize. But I do like to talk, and I do like people to hear what I have to say, and it feels good, It feels good. It feels like I'm doing art right now, just talking to you. I don't know if I am or not, but it feels like this is art. I don't know. Is conversation, is the art of gab actually art or not? That is the question. I like it. I like to think about these things, Philosophy is art, man. We're talking, we're thinking, we're theorizing, So, and so that's where we're at. All right. That's all I really got now. I'm not used to having to fill the time to a certain clock. I normally just, when I'm done, I stop. So I'm trying to fill this time out to meet the clock time frame that I'm allotted. But maybe there'll be some stuff that they're going to need to cut out anyways to fill in some time, or maybe not. I don't really know. This is the first time I've done a show for them, I don't know how well it's going to go, but I know I'm down to 20 seconds now. So I just want to thank you guys again for being here with Kat Kennison. You can check me out on the Catcast at YouTube. Look for Kat Kennison, Catkinison, Kennison. All right? We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for letting me be a part of this. Bye now.